Kazakhstan has chosen the multi-vector integration. Its trends, collisions, and prospects are coming up in the Single Market program.
Hello, my name is Pavel Koktashev, and you're watching Single Market. One of the key principles of the Eurasian Economic Union is ensuring the freedom of movement of four resources: goods, services, capital, and labor power. And it must be admitted that the participants of the integration process frequently encounter all kinds of barriers and limitations. The Eurasian Economic Commission is responsible for monitoring such cases and taking into account the comments and proposals made by the business communities. Our correspondent in Moscow, Laura Zhusubekova, brings us the report on what is being done to improve the situation. The report Barriers, Challenges and Limitations of the Eurasian Economic Union was the starting point for the commencement of the work on removing barriers on the single market. This is all needed for strengthening cooperation and ensuring the realization of the principle of four freedoms. In the end, it is necessary to create an ideal environment that is favorable for business. The second informal name of this report is the White Book, and this is quite symbolic because the barriers, challenges and limitations are nothing other than white spots. These obstacles, whilst existing on the internal market of the Union, are counter to the basic principle of the integration: free movement of goods, capital, services and labor force. By the way, in total 60 obstacles were registered in the White Book. Of them 34 are limitations, 17 omissions and 9 barriers. The report, in cooperation with state entities and the business communities of the countries of the Eurasian Economic Union, was prepared by the Eurasian Economic Commission. And this speaks about the coordinated and objective approach to revealing obstacles and finding solutions to them. If there is something missing in the agreement or is not spelled out, then of course amendments must be made. And the Commission is constantly working on this with the member countries, because as you know, we have the principle of consensus in the Union. This means all the countries must agree that precisely this requirement must be set for everyone. At the same time, the process of reaching a consensus is comprehensive, commencing with a clarification of the terminology. Barriers entail incompliance of the regulatory measures of Union member states with the common law of the Eurasian Economic Union, for example, unequal tax rates. And in case the existence of such barriers is revealed, the national governments must take measures to eliminate them. The Republic of Belarus has announced that starting from July 1st, it is getting rid of the 10% value-added tax on crop products, animal products, fish products, and bee farming products on the country's territory. The thing is that before there was a 10% value-added tax for residents of Belarus and a 20% value-added tax on residents of other countries. Now all the participants and residents of the countries of the Eurasian Economic Union face equal conditions. The term limitations describes omissions that affect the development of regulation of legal relations on the level of the integration union. Limitations, for example, could be diseconomies and deficits that appear in the sphere of state procurement or the system of certification of products. Kazakhstan, by the way, introduced the following limitations. If a product's label states eco, bio and/or organic, then in addition to the usual certificate of compliance, Kazakhstan's certificate must be obtained. Therefore, the certification procedure must be passed again in Kazakhstan. Why? In our opinion, this requirement is excessive. Since we all agreed that we have a single regulatory framework, then let's stick to that agreement. In Armenia, at the end of April, a law came into force on procurement. And this law also got rid of a limitation. It stipulates that the entity that is engaged in a procurement order must provide all the information in the Russian language. Concerning emissions, then here we're talking about obstacles that the business communities encounter because of the different norms and requirements of the Eurasian Economic Union member countries. The Eurasian Economic Commission uses the term incomplete integration to describe them.
Another
important task set before the Commission for 2017 is the shifting of the economy towards a digital format. Experts call this a unification of the intellectual potential of the member countries. This will allow to get a fresh look at old problems and solve them in a digital format of development. Also, digitalization will open up new and, most importantly, equal opportunities for the Digital technologies present a new and more reliable and progressive foundation for the development of the Eurasian economy. Considering the relevance of this process on the global arena, its implementation and the conditions of greater competition will help the enterprises of the Integration Union to find their place under the sun on the export markets. This does not just concern finances, but also processes related to labeling, convenience and transparency, from farmers who own just a couple of cows to large producers. We get greater opportunities to enter other markets and greater ability to satisfy consumer demand. This is how we get this connection in the digital format. It is short, barrier-free and fast. What's more, it is barrier-free for the participants of the integration process. All the actions will be transparent from the perspective of movement of goods, services, capital and labor force. For example, mutual recognition of the electronic digital signatures will optimize the system of state procurement. And as that is known, the main share of them in the Eurasian Economic Union countries passes through electronic trade platforms. And overall, thanks to the system of document exchange, a greater number of obstacles will be overcome. Therefore, a great transformation is expected.
Цифровая трансформация означает следующее, что основные...
A digital transformation means the following. Business processes happen not just in the physical world, but will also be reflected in the virtual or digital world, in the form of separate processes that are registered in the form of models and tracked digitally.
...процессов, которые зафиксированы в виде моделей и отслеживаются в цифре.
The Eurasian Economic Commission is setting a record short period for such wide-scale transformations, no more than 5 years for the creation of a new format and the launch of all the necessary technological processes. Therefore, there is no time to spare. Laura Jibek, Moscow, exclusively for Single Market. The fluctuation of the exchange rates of national currencies of the Eurasian Economic Union countries, which happened at the beginning of August, once again reminded that in conditions of a high level of dollarization and non-coordination of monetary policies, external collisions, for example the exchange and sanctionary measures between the United States and Russia, can become a serious threat for the economic security of the Integration Union. Alexander Galiyev brings us the report. The monetary policy of the Eurasian Economic Union requires a reboot. In order to understand this, it is enough to remember the events of the last 2-3 years, when a high dependency on the US dollar, an absence of coordination between the central banks of the integration member countries, as well as different means of resolving what is actually a common problem, led to an imbalance in the exchange rates of the currencies of the respective member countries. But every cloud has a silver lining. This summer, the Center for Integration Research of the Eurasian Development Bank published a report, Fluctuations of Currency Exchange Rates in 2014-2015, Analysis and Recommendations. According to experts, the optimal measure of the monetary policy within the realities of the Eurasian Economic Union is a floating exchange rate in combination with a regime of targeted inflation. At the same time, the dynamic of Russia's ruble exchange rate must be taken into account, because precisely this national currency is most widely used today in the bilateral payments between Russia and its integration partners. For example, the share of the Russian ruble in the payments between Russia and Belarus is 81.1%, between Russia and Kazakhstan, 53.9%, between Russia and Kyrgyzstan, 44.6%. And the payments and the trade operations without the participation of Russia are mainly conducted in US dollars. And here, within the framework of trans-border trade on the territory of the Eurasian Economic Union, there is a window of opportunities for more proactive use of national currencies. What's more, the survey conducted by the analysts of the Eurasian Economic Commission revealed the readiness of enterprises and banks of the member countries to take advantage of this window of opportunity. And instead of a summary, the train named Eurasian Economic Union is gradually gaining speed, and the further ahead it moves, the more its passengers, the integration member countries, need to discuss and coordinate their journey through all the intermediary stages. Because our common welfare depends on this. That's all from me. My name is Alexander Galiyev. Until next time on Single Market. In the recent times, during the various business meetings and conferences that are being held on the territory of the Eurasian Economic Union, one can often hear the term case. This also happened within the framework of the Eurasian Week Forum that was held in August of this year. But to start, let's clarify in which context this term is used in the modern business community. Here it means a packaged set of solutions to various situations, tasks, problems, or a specific project. It includes the description of what was there before the commencement of the work on the project, what has already been done, what results have been achieved, and sets perspective questions. And now let's find out what cases were mentioned at the Forum Eurasian Week. The task of any communication methods is to create a system that can connect all the constituent parts. And this connecting function gives them a special social importance. And when we're talking about information communication systems, then the effect from this increases. Today, for the Eurasian Economic Union, has come a moment which experts of the Eurasian Development Bank figuratively called the time of synergy of meanings and facts. And this definition was voiced within the framework of the Eurasian Week that was held at the end of August in Kazakhstan's capital. It must be regarded as a premise for all entities that are responsible for the popularization of ideas of integration that they use the language of solid arguments and real numbers. The information space demands constant input. Therefore, we need to know what citizens are interested in. Two simple questions. First, what new opportunities for doing business will appear? And second, how will the Eurasian integration process affect my family? So the question is, where am I in this? Therefore, overall, the advantages of integration are considered when convenient conditions are created for business and regular people. That is why the main survey respondents and potential allies of the integration process are regular citizens of the Eurasian Economic Union. In order to find out about their attitudes and expectations, the Center for Integration Research, which works under the auspices of the Eurasian Development Bank, annually conducts a special survey within the framework of the program Barometer. We survey from 6,000 to 10,000 people in 6 countries, all the countries of the Eurasian Union and in Tajikistan, which is a member state of our bank. Which goods do you prefer? What kind of businesses would you like to see? And on the basis of this, we conduct a comprehensive analysis of how people view the integration process. Aside from the Center for Integration Research, within the framework of the Eurasian Development Bank, other 2 expert groups function. One of them monitors the key sectors of the Integration Union, the other conducts a macroeconomic analysis. For example, it studies inflation rates, the prospective movements of the exchange rates. And at the Eurasian Development Bank, they believe that today it is much more important to focus not on successes in the monetization, but to look for solutions to questions of lowering inflation and strengthening the trust in national currencies. Our task is not to race after some figures in monetization, but to look at the real development of the economy, in order for the financial system to facilitate the flow of capital to sectors and industries that need investments. And consequently, on the other hand, those that have an excess of funds, they could safely invest them. Within the context of this task, a question arises about this precise moment. In other words, it is not possible to find optimal solutions to problems without considering the realities of the current times and economic trends. Today, according to experts, the Eurasian Economic Union partner countries are entering the stage of routine work, when it is necessary to analyze, discuss more, seek agreement and consensus. The period of fast growth and big events has ended. At the moment, the countries are transitioning to the stage of discussing regulatory issues, the interaction of countries, markets, removing barriers, and so on, which requires serious, meticulous work. But this does not mean that this year should be considered as unsuccessful in terms of the development of the integration economy. Despite the worrisome expectations that came up in June in connection with the volatility of oil prices, overall 2017 is passing in a stable manner. Eurasian Economic Union GDP growth in the first quarter of this year amounted to 0.8%. The industry grew by 2.7%, and the volume of trade of the member countries increased by almost 28%. These are facts that attest to the favorable development of the Union's economy. Concerning meanings, the goal that is aimed at unifying efforts and interaction in reaching commonly shared success, this is always considered as evolution. Therefore, we're going to strive towards the synergy of facts and meanings, because this premise must become an aim for all who cover the integration process in the Eurasian Economic Union. Oleg Boldarev, Nijat Yusupov, exclusively for Single Market. The experience of trade and economic relations between Russia and Kazakhstan, from the perspective of concrete results, shows that today the most effective is the practice of establishing business contacts on the level of regions and cities. Such an approach gives an opportunity to get to know better potential partners, reveal the prospective spheres of cooperation, and to take into account all the nuances of trade. Anarta Sanbekova will continue the story. Almaty and Tomsk. The distance between these two cities is more than 1,500 kilometers, and both have different natural and climate conditions. However, this has not impeded the establishment of business contacts. The delegation from Tomsk already visited Almaty a number of times, and judging by the mindset of serious entrepreneurs, they like the business climate of Kazakhstan's southern metropolis. This business mission was organized by the Tomsk Chamber of Commerce and Industry with the support of Russia's Ministry of Economic Development and the Regional Fund for the Support of Small and Medium Entrepreneurship. And 10 companies from Tomsk that operated in the sphere of chemical, light and food industry took part in it. This is already the 12th visit to Kazakhstan under the auspices of the Tomsk Chamber of Commerce and Industry and with the support of the Tomsk administration. We're getting together entrepreneurs that are engaged in export and which are interested in foreign markets, including of the CIS countries and Kazakhstan. In the selection of companies for the participation in the business mission, the specificities of local business were taken into account. Tomsk has the strongest technology universities in Russia, and this factor contributes to the active development of engineering ideas which are easily realized in the business sphere by being implemented in production. One of such examples is the company which offers systems for water purification. Our business is developing well. We have our own production, engineering. We have experience, developed ideas that have worked well. Now we're planning to realize them in Kazakhstan because this market is very interesting and has good prospects. The Tomsk company Interopt is also interested in the promotion of its franchise. The enterprise is engaged in the production of different types of ice cream. Among its range of products there are unique sorts: ice cream that is sugar and or gluten-free and even dairy-free. We're represented in 170 cities of Russia and the near abroad. This includes Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Belarus. In Kazakhstan we are present in 8 cities. We're looking for partners, franchises that are located in Pavlodar, Karaganda and potentially in Kokshetau. Aside from exporting its products, the companies from Tomsk expressed interest in the import of goods that are produced by enterprises of Kazakhstan's southern metropolis. During the business mission, they studied the opportunities of small and medium businesses of Almaty. The delegation from Tomsk and its entrepreneurs do not just want to sell, but also want to purchase the products of our light industry for their further sale in Russia. This is a very positive moment.
Дальнейшей продажи в России. Это очень позитивный момент.
The format of this business mission did not include spheres for cooperation that can be included in the list of those with great prospects. For example, tourism. A great number of unique natural sites are located in the Tomsk region. 60% of its territory is covered in green taiga forests, the symbol of which is the dwarf pine. In turn, Almaty is one of the most distinguished places not just in Kazakhstan, but also in all of Central Asia. It also offers something to look at and be impressed by: the Transilya-Alatau mountain range, numerous picturesque ravines, and the modern, rapidly growing city that is located in a territorial chalice created by nature itself. Therefore, not all resources have been employed in the cooperation between the two cities and regions, Almaty and Tomsk. And this means that many new business meetings are ahead, which will result in real projects and concrete actions. Anarta Sanbekova, Anatoly Valuysky, exclusively for Single Market. That's all for today. My name is Pavel Koktushev. Kind reminder, all the episodes of our program are available on www.kazakh-tv.kz. Until next time on Single Market.